Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Terry's Flooring Kyle Donahue Show, where we cover everything on the court with the Chuckey-Doke Lady Black Knights basketball team. As always, I'm here with Lady Black Knights head coach, associate principal, athletic director, everything here and there, Dr. Kyle Donahue.
Man. Good
Coach,
to see you
how you
again.
doing?
I'm great. Had a good Thanksgiving and ready to be back at it.
It's been 2 weeks since we've sat down and talked. Had 4 games since then, of course, but have to ask, how was your Thanksgiving first?
It was really good.
How many meals did you have?
We had 2. We had my wife's parents and then my family. We went to Knoxville to my brother's house. So some of our family from Florida came up, so it was a good little Thanksgiving.
Do you ever host Thanksgiving?
We do sometimes.
Okay.
It kind of rotates. What about y'all? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
We do. Went to my mama's house and ate.
Awesome.
I just had one this year.
Just one.
Yep, but...
Many plates.
Exactly. There you go. More to eat when you do just one. But you had 4 games in between the last time we sat down.
Pause. What's your favorite meat, favorite side? Go.
See, this year was the first year we had tried it. From here on out, I can never eat a Thanksgiving meal without smoked turkey.
Okay.
And what was the other one?
Favorite side.
Favorite side. I feel like it rotates every year.
Okay.
But the last 2 years, my girlfriend has made green bean casserole.
All right.
Can't get away from it.
See, I'm not a casserole fan.
The good thing is, when we make the green bean casserole, whatever's left, we take home.
There you go.
So I get more of it later.
There you go.
And we got the smoked turkey, too. So Friday, Saturday, lunch.
I had smoked turkey. That sounds good.
You ever get hungry and you want a snack? Just chop up some turkey.
There you go.
Can't go wrong with ham, too. Are you a turkey or a ham guy on Thanksgiving?
I'm a both man. I mostly like, I'll eat the turkey. I like ham, but I'll eat turkey if I had to come down to it. I'd like to try smoked, and I've never tried fried.
I've never had a fried either.
They say those are pretty good. So if you're out there and you want to donate to Tyler and I, we can try it live on air if you want to smoke as a turkey. But my favorite side, mashed potatoes.
Can't go wrong with them.
Mashed potatoes. Classic.
You got to make them right, though.
My mom's mashed potatoes. Shout out to my mom. And then her deviled eggs as well. Those usually get gone before my sister Connor gets them. Sometimes I'll eat them and blame them on her. But usually those are half gone before we even start eating. Everybody's sneaking a couple. So it is what it is. But they're delicious. But mashed potatoes.
Hey, they don't sponsor the show this year, but I wonder if Sand Meat Market has any meats that you can get for Thanksgiving.
I bet
or
they do.
Christmas. There you go.
That's a heck of an idea.
We'll plug them in there.
Also,
Terry's Flooring, since they are the lead sponsors.
Sure.
So we got to plug them in there.
Sure. Terry's Flooring, for all your flooring needs, maybe you're starting some demolition. We were talking earlier about some demolition. Maybe you're trying to demo your house. See Terry's Flooring for all your flooring needs. They've got everything that you could want, and I'm sure they can order it if they don't have it in stock. But see them. We're very thankful they're sponsoring our show. Give them a shout.
Shout out Terry's Flooring. Hey, shout out the Lady Black Knights also. We've got 4 games to talk about now. You split the 4 that we've talked about since the last time we sat down and talked about your first Hall of Champions game. You had your second one, which you hosted, and was your first home game of the season on a Saturday against Hancock County. Fortunately, I was here for that one. Great win overall, 67-36. Usually I have leading scores on here to talk about, but for that one, I have that everybody scored in that game. Everybody got on the floor. Everybody played meaningful minutes and scored in a varsity game. So it's a total team win in that regard, I guess. So talk about how great of a night that was.
Yeah, it was a good night. That's probably the best we've shot so far this year. I think we made 6 threes. I think Taven hit 3.
She made 2 in the 4th.
Sanaya made 2, and then somebody else made 1. Maybe Kennedy. But we were shooting well, we were moving the ball well, and that's when we're at our best. Same thing I told you after the game. If you want to read the article, go back to Grassroots.
Subscribe.
You got to subscribe. But we played really well in that game. I was proud of our effort and how well we shot. We've tried to put an emphasis on making shots, shot making, and game shot making. And we've put an emphasis on free throws, and we'll talk about those here in a little bit, I'm sure. But that to get that first home win is good. To get the first win is good. You're really striving to get that first win. They always say the first win's the hardest, and then you break the seal. But it was good to get that win at home right there before Thanksgiving, before we went into the Hardy's Classic.
And let's roll right into the Hardy's Classic also. Let's talk about the first game. separating from the rest because you played a team in Cott County that we had kind of previewed that was a Final Four team last year in their classification at the state tournament. They had lost a little bit, but they're returning a lot of players who had that experience from being up there in Murfreesboro and playing 2 games on the big court under the bright lights. And you played well with them. It was a 58-47 loss, but to still be almost within single digits of a team that went to the Final Four and higher classification from you, I know it's a loss, but I'm sure you could find some good things out of that you can take with you going forward.
Yeah, we were impressed. I was impressed at how hard we played. You know, we're at our best when we play hard and we play aggressive and stay out of foul trouble. But we're at our best when we do those, and I thought that was a perfect example of how we can play. By no means do I think that's the ceiling, but I thought that was a step in the right direction. Like you said, they were a Final Four team last year, and it's hard to replace. It's hard to replicate big time game experience, and they've got it. You know, they went to the state. A lot of them, I think they're younger, and so you know they've got that experience from the state. They know how to win. They made a deep run at the Ladies Classic as well. So it was a good game for us to start with. I think free throws hurt us that game as well, and we. You know, in the third quarter, I thought third quarter is I think where we lost the game. We went on a little spurt where we didn't score as much, and they were scoring. So, you know, anytime a team makes a run, we've got to stop the bleeding and make sure we get a bucket. And we didn't do that in that game, but I thought we competed very well. I thought we played hard, and I was impressed with our effort. And, you know, I've been told other coaches paid attention to what was going on throughout that game over at the Hardys. So that's good to get that kind of recognition for our girls that they played hard. And you know, Cott County's not to be looked down upon. I think they're going to make a big run again this year. They made the championship game of the Hardys. They gave Crockett a run for it. So it was a good game to open the Hardys with. I don't know if you asked me about the next. Did you ask me about the next game?
Not yet, but we'll go right into it. You had Providence, a close loss in that one, 62-58, and then we joked about it right before we recorded this, but Johnson County, the final game. Seems like you can't go through a Thanksgiving or Christmas tournament without running into another county or conference team, but the Providence game, a close 4-point loss, 62-58, and then Johnson County, a win, 64-61 in that one. So 2 razor-close games to end your run at the Hardys Classic this year. Take me through both of those and tell me how you were able to reverse that close loss from the day before.
Well, I thought we played hard again in the Providence game. It was, to me, it came down to the little things. It came down to turnovers, and it came down to free throws. And I talked to Tate after the game. I think we shot 40% free throws. Yeah. Unacceptable. You know, if
you were to say 40 from the field or from 3, that's all right. But
right.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable, and that falls back on me. We've got to get more game-like free throws. But I paid attention to somebody this week online, and there's nothing like pressure free throws that you can do. You know, that you can practice. There's things that you can do, but when it comes down to the moment, we've got to step up and we got to make free throws, and we've got to block out everything negative in our mind, and we've got to step up and we step up and make it for our team. And that's something we've been trying to incorporate, kind of the mental aspect of making free throws. So hopefully we can improve upon that. We're going to practice that over and over, and it cost us. There's no doubt about it. We shot 15 of 36, I think, and lost by 4. You know, you make 5 more free throws, 20 of 36 even. Yeah. That's still not even, I guess that's a little over half, but you make 5 more free throws, you win that game. Yeah. So, you know, it hurts. I thought we played well enough to win. I thought we were the tougher team, but it came down to the little things. And in conference play and against good teams, that's going to get you beat. And it got us beat. Hopefully, the reason why we play these games and the Hardys and some of the bigger games that we played to start the year is to prepare for the conference. So if we can learn from that and grow from that, I think that will put us in a good place. moving into conference season. But I definitely thought, and I told the girls after the game, I thought we should have won that game. We could have won that game. We should have won that game. And it's just one of those things that could have, should have, would have after it's over. One of the quotes we use with the girls is, "You don't know how much it's going to require until the game is over." So you don't know how much effort, you don't know how much shot making, you don't know how much it's going to require going in, but after the game, you see. So you can't leave any doubt going into the game. You've got to give it all. And unfortunately, we didn't play as well down the stretch. And, that's on me, and we'll get better. Flipping over to the Johnson County game, I think we played West Green maybe my first year. I think we played them 4 times, maybe 5 times.
I think you played them 5 because we've joked about that a lot.
Yeah. So you play them in the Hardies, you play them twice in the season, and then maybe postseason. And then so that year we played West Green at the Ladies Classic as well. So, it's one thing to play a conference opponent. You don't want to give everything away. You don't want to show everything. At the same time, you see what they got. And I know early in the year it's tough to see other teams, so it's good to kind of see them and kind of scout them up close. They did some things that really hurt us. They've got a freshman on their team that really played really well. Number 11, I think she had 25. So she came to play. But what I was really proud of is, even though we got down, we were up for most of the game, I think, by 10. And again, we had a spurt of, we would come down and not make shots. And then, they get a rebound or whatever, and they come down and score. We'd turn it over. And the lead started to diminish. 2 points to that. One, we've got to stop the bleeding and get a bucket, make sure we get a bucket, run one of our sets, just slow it down and make sure we get a bucket. As a coach, it's kind of tough to, as we're getting steals and going, it's tough to call timeout and say, hey, slow it down. Don't shoot that layup that you're about to shoot. So that's kind of the conflict in my mind a little bit as people are making runs, but we've got to slow down and make sure we get into a set. But number 2, I was really proud of our effort and fight to close the game. They went on a run. They closed the gap. They exceeded us. They made a shot in the corner to push them up. And what's great for us to see when we're talking about the little things is we did not fold. We came back down. We got a good shot, and we kind of took it from there. But it was good to see the fight and the resolve to close out the game. We made free throws to close out the game, and got the rebounds necessary to pull us a victory. And that, to coaching staff, that's good to see. It's good to see that we can respond and react in the positive and not, well, we just lost a 10-point lead, now they're going to beat us. So that was a good positive we took out of it. We won by 3. They hit a shot at the buzzer, so the gap was 6.
So, yeah.
But it was good to see them and to be able to early scout for conference.
And now you've been through 5 games, and through the month of November, of course, you've got 2 Hall of Champions games. You've got 3 Thanksgiving Classic games. It's kind of the preseason of your regular season.
Sure.
You get through those games, and then you get into home games. Of course, you've got 3 this week with University High, North Green, and Cloudland that we'll talk about later. But throughout those first 5 games, what do you think the team's learned about themselves so far this year?
I think we are starting to understand the urgency of every day.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, every day is another battle, whether we're at practice, whether we're at games, whether we're doing something mental, whether we're watching film. Every day is a battle, and we've got to win the battle. We've got to bring what we can bring every day to win that day, and then let tomorrow handle itself. But I think one of the big things that we're learning is we have got to take care of the little details. Everything matters. How you do everything, how you do anything is how you do everything. If we're lax in one area, what's to say we're not going to be lax in 5 areas, right? So if we take 2 plays off, was to stop us from taking 3 plays off
Yeah.
or 4 plays. So we're getting to the point where we're starting to understand that the little things, making free throws, taking care of the basketball. I didn't mention that against Johnson County. I think we had less turnovers in that game. Taking care of the basketball, making free throws, taking good shots and making good shots. Those are the keys to the game. Sitting in a stance every possession. It's easy. Football, you get in a stance and you stand up and you play the play and then you come back and catch your breath. Basketball, you've got to stay in a stance. You've got to stay ready. So that's one of the things that we're really pushing this year is take care of the little things.
And of course,
but to your point, the season it's funny. Football season, you've got 1 to 10. It's kind of a straight shot.
Yeah.
With an open date in the middle that you can kind of breathe. Basketball is kind of an ebb and flow with your games. You've got the pre-Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving kind of where we're at pre-conference season. So this week will close out that pre-conference season. Then you've got conference season, which is split in half between before Christmas and after Christmas. Then you have Christmas break, which is its own tournament season. Yep. And then you finish with conference, and then you got tournament. So you've got ups and downs throughout the year, but it's cool to watch the progression with our girls. Every year they've done something different, and this year's no different. Done something different to improve to start the year. I think we're worlds better than we were last year, even the first year. I think I looked up some scores. I think we're in a farther spot offensively, defensively, and program-wise than where we were. And that's nothing to take away from the girls. I think we've just gotten comfortable and gotten into this is our expectation and our standard.
Right.
So that's good to see moving into year 3 that we're as far along as we are. Now we're going to start putting in more stuff and start to advance what we're doing.
Now you move into 3 games this week. Another tough week, of course, whenever you have 3 games because you only have 1 day to prepare for each game. Of course, you've got UH, North Green, and Cloudland coming up this week. But, of course, as always, we need to get a break in and get a word from our sponsors first. So right after the break, we'll talk about those 3 games here in just a minute here on Grassroots Media.
At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pond is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pond help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greenville, Tennessee.
Pizza Inn's new Right Way Buffet is open and ready for you and your family. Now with new garlic buttery crust and stuffed crust pizza, along with salads and desserts. It's the best part of your day. The all-day, everyday buffet. Only at Pizza Inn Greenville.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Terry's Flooring Kyle Donahue Show, where we cover everything on the court with the Chokedoke Lady Black Knights basketball team. As always, I'm here with Lady Black Knights head coach, associate principal, athletic director, everything here and there, Dr. Kyle Donahue. Coach, you got 3 games this week, of course. You got 2 on the road to start the week, at UH on Tuesday, at North Green on Thursday, and then you finally get to come back home. After a full 2 weeks of being on the road, you get to come back home against Cloudland on Saturday.
No, we're playing away.
Is it playing away?
Yeah.
Okay, I looked at the schedule wrong.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we're still going.
That's my fault. Is it 3 road games this week?
Yeah.
3 road games.
And
My
then
oh my.
one next week. I think we've got. I don't think we're playing at home till December 13th. We go to Hampton to close out the stretch.
So you will be away from home for 20 days because the 13th is a Friday, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
20 days away from home.
Yeah, so one of the things that when we were creating this schedule, we wanted to create is a little bit of adversity. There's some tough games in this stretch, but at the flip side of that, you get a lot of home in the second half.
Yeah.
which is good. But there's a lot of tough games in this stretch, and to win our conference, like we've talked over and over, you got to win the home games, but really you got to play well on the road. So if we're trained to play well on the road, training to play well on the road, hopefully we can get some of those in conference. It's the stretch is no slouch. North Green, Cloudland, Hampton. That's a tough 4 games.
Playing 2 teams right here this week that I think made the state tournament last year.
Yeah. So it's I think tonight will be a tough game, tough matchup. With all the snow variables and whatever, we've got to make sure we lock in. And then we go to North Green. That's a tough place to play. The Husky Den's always feels like it's 100 degrees in there all the time. My ears get nice and red, but it's a tough place to play, and they really shoot well and play well there. And James is a veteran coach. He does a good job with his program, and anytime you can match up with North Green, it's going to be a good game. Anytime there's a conference game or a county game, it's the talk of the town. So there's going to be a lot of people
packed
there, I'm sure. And it's on a Thursday, so right here in town. I don't think there's supposed to be any snow. Call your local meteorologist. You know any snow on Thursday?
I don't.
What's your channel of choice? Channel 11 or Channel 5?
I did my internship at Channel 11, so I got to stay loyal.
Okay, so Mark Reynolds, make sure you check with him and see what the snow's like on Thursday, but it should be nice and warm inside the gym. And then Cloudland on Saturday. One of the things that I've always found, whether it's football or basketball, anytime you're out of your schedule, out of your element, out of your daily routine,
I get that.
It seems like the day the games usually go a little bit wonky. So it's one of those things that we've got to make sure we lock in. Obviously, a long bus ride. Make sure we lock in and get to the point where we can focus on what we're doing and come away with a win. But, 3 tough games this week. Hopefully we come to play and play with a little bit of passion and intensity.
That's interesting. You've got all 3 on the road, too. Not a lot of times throughout a season will you have 3 straight road games in an entire week. I mean, of course, when you're playing at the Hardee's Classic,
sure,
that's kind of
neutral.
Yeah, that's neutral, so you don't count those. But when you're playing a true home-and-home series with somebody and you get 3 road games in a single week, that's a tough week. I mean, you can look at them and think, oh, they're 3 single-A teams, but at the same time, it's 3 road games. It doesn't matter. Right. Playing anybody on the road is tough because people don't understand a home court advantage if they've never truly been involved in it, but it's tough.
Yeah, you know all the nooks and crannies and where the dents are in your floor, and you know how to shoot on your goal. It's going to be tough. And one of the things we talked to the girls about, we can't look ahead. We can't say, oh, North Green's on Thursday, Cloudland's on Saturday. We've got to focus on today. And move forward one day at a time. We got to focus on practice and lock into practice. We can't focus on the game. What's going to happen in the game? We got to make sure we focus, and that's kind of been our go-to this year. We've got to focus on one game at a time, one possession at a time, and like we talked about earlier, that's growing in our girls, and hopefully this week we come ready to play and we show that off.
All right, I think that's all the basketball talk we've got. It's a big week for football, though.
Yeah.
We've got conference championships. I want to run down through each game.
All right.
And get your predictions for this week because there seems like, according to Vegas, there's not going to be many blowouts this week. They're all pretty close spreads.
We'll see.
I don't know if I could get service here in your office.
What was the spread on Texas A&M?
5.5.
See, Vegas don't know what they're talking about.
It's 2.5 right now in Texas's favor against Georgia. We'll start with that one. The SEC, of course, because we live right here smack dab in the middle of SEC country. Sure. Texas taking on Georgia at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in Atlanta, Georgia.
Have they played this year?
They have. Okay. Georgia won 30-15 in Austin.
Georgia is on the outside looking in, right?
They're in.
They're in.
They're locked.
For sure.
They're locked.
I don't know about locked. I wouldn't say... I told Tyler we weren't going to talk about this, but don't ever say that somebody's a lock to make the playoffs for the college football invitational because there are no locks. We all have seen that. There are no locks to get in. If Georgia would have lost to Georgia Tech, were they in?
That is a question that I was thinking about, too. If they would have lost then, probably not. But since they beat them and they carried out a 10-win season.
How can you be a lock? I don't know how anyone can say, I guess other than Oregon, they're undefeated.
Oregon, yeah.
How can you say that anyone's a lock at this point? I think, bold prediction, I think the Tyler Nichols-led Longhorns are going to pull the upset and kick Georgia out of the playoffs.
You think they'll be out of the playoffs?
I think they'll be out of the playoffs.
The big one, the Big Ten championship. The Big Ten that involves 18 teams, that makes sense. But Oregon and Penn State.
That's coast to coast.
I know. How insane. Oregon and Penn State are playing. I don't know where they're playing. I don't keep up with the other conferences. But Oregon looking to go. I think it's Indy and Lucas Oil. But anyway, Oregon looking to go 13-0 and solidify themselves as the number one team. Penn State, I don't think they've won a top 5 game in 8 years. They're looking to reverse that. So who are you taking in that one?
Ryan Day is the Nick Saban of James Franklin's.
I saw that.
Go ahead and mark that down. Thank you. What that means is James Franklin is not going to get his team championship. Ducks by 100. They're going to roll. I don't think the Penn State Fighting Nittany Lions even thought they'd have a chance to get in this game, and now they've backed their way in. They need to send a card and a letter of thanks to Michigan. I thought it was going to be Ohio State, Oregon.
I think everybody did. I think everybody was getting ready for the rematch. Number 1 versus number 2.
Yeah. So they need to give them a call. But don't take their game plan because it was terrible. Oregon by 1,000.
ACC championship. Somehow Clemson has backed their way in and somehow have a chance to make the college football playoff. But they've got to get through SMU. Who do you like in that matchup?
Let me just say, as a Florida State fan, I don't care who wins this game. I'm not rooting for anybody to win this game. What I most assuredly am rooting for is somebody to not let Miami in the back door.
Miami's done.
No, they're not.
Miami's done, man.
If Clemson beats SMU, I think they've got a shot. But I don't care who wins the ACC championship game. I really don't. If it's not Florida State, I'm not like the SEC homers where we're going to walk around chanting
I get
ACC.
That. Yeah.
I'm not cheering for anyone
that same way.
in our conference. I'm not cheering for them. I don't care who wins. I just don't want Miami. No offense if you're a Miami fan, I love you. We'll still be friends. I just can't stand Miami. They choke. It's funny to me. They spent so much money, and they can say the same thing about Florida State last year. It's funny they spent so much money building up this invincible roster, and they've lost 2.
Syracuse and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, what they can say about Florida State is you built this roster and you go perfect, and then you get kicked out. But that's why I call it the College Football Invitational, because they're going to pick whoever they want to pick. It's going to be whoever the best team that brings the most fans, that has the most money, most eyeballs. So it is what it is.
What will really tell you that, too, is if Clemson gets this upset, and then you have the conversation, who deserves to be in SMU or Alabama?
My money would be on Alabama.
I think they would put Alabama in over them because you look at SMU's schedule and Alabama's schedule, and you look at who each team is beaten, and they will, of course, like Alabama more now.
Heather Dinich got her start in the ACC. She got her comeuppance on ACC games, and here she is pitching Alabama. I can't stand watching it. I'm not cheering for anybody in the ACC. I'm not. And I'm definitely hoping that Miami doesn't make it in. I think there's a way they can get in. It's tough to keep a 2-win team out.
Yeah.
But I think they have zero top 25 wins.
They have 0 ranked wins.
I mean, come on.
The best 2 teams they've played are Syracuse and
Florida
Louisville.
State, that's right.
And they allowed Syracuse to score, 42, and Louisville 45?
Yeah.
So that just shows you have no defense.
Go back and look. While we're pitching Florida State, I'm gonna pump my team in there since we were terrible this year. 2 wins, baby. Go look at Ward's numbers this year. Go look at the team that held him to the least amount of yardage, least touchdowns. That would be Florida State Seminoles, go Noles. And then we fired our DC. So, but anyway, shout out Coach Murphy. We hired North Green's defensive coordinator.
Nebraska?
Not North Green. Hey, shout out North Green's DC. Got the big comeuppance on that one. I don't even know who it is over there, but they were balling, I guess. The best record in history, in school history. So
best winning percentage ever.
Hey, light him up,
the big
Florida
boy
State.
job.
He just got $2 million right off the bat. No. Nebraska's DC, White, he runs 3.35, which I'm excited about. But, yeah, go Noles. I don't know how we got here.
I don't either. But if you had to pick a winner, Clemson, SMU, who you picking?
I'm not picking one. Who's next?
The weird one, the Big 12. Does anybody care about it? Not really.
Who's in it?
Iowa State and Arizona State.
Man, shout out Arizona State head coach. He's not going to watch this. I may send it to him. Dilly goes out to the desert. He's what, all of 24 years old? I don't know how old he's 34, I think.
He's a young guy.
Former Florida State OC with Mike Norvell. Give them to me. Give me the Sun Devils.
The Sun Devils have a running back that has maybe the funnest name to say in all of college football. Scataboo.
Hey, and he's tough to tackle. He's a little Scataboo back there.
He really is. If you watch him play, I've had the privilege of watching him play, and he's good. So I'm taking that
Arizona State.
I'm taking them too.
And they get in.
We don't have a Pac-12 now. That's sad. But we do have.
Washington State would have won that.
The Oregon State actually beat Washington State
Did
this
they really?
year. Yeah. So they won the Pac-2 championship.
Hey, Pac-2, baby.
There's two that play a big factor. Friday night, Boise State plays UNLV. I believe they're both ranked. But there's a team in between the two of them, Tulane, that is also ranked and hoping to make their case. Tulane plays Army, I believe, on Saturday. And Boise State plays UNLV. Out of those three teams, who's getting in?
I think Army pulls the upset.
I could honestly see that.
So they're out. And then, here's the thing. The go-go offense. Florida State was looking at Marion, the OC for UNLV, with his go-go offense. I think they win.
You think they upset?
UNLV upsets BYU, the Fighting Mormons.
What a turn of events that would be. I think this past week they were ranked 22nd behind Tulane and Boise. But if they were able to beat Boise and Army takes care of business and upsets Tulane, they could squeeze their way in.
Then Alabama gets in?
But you know what the craziest part is that I know you don't want to hear?
If that happens, then I think Miami gets in, by the way.
What if Clemson wins? And then, what if Boise State gets knocked out? And Clemson goes from being a 9-3 team on the outside looking in, wins their conference championship, and then the team that is above them in Boise State would get knocked out, and then they would jump up to being the fourth best team, fourth best conference champion, and then Clemson would earn a bye. Is that not crazy how that's still possible?
It's the scenarios are beyond what I can even comprehend.
We have already found a flaw in year one of the 12-team playoff.
I'm a visual person. I would have to draw it out and kind of see where people would go. I've not kept up with a lot of Florida or a lot of NCAA football this year since Florida State was terrible. I've watched the games, but I don't necessarily keep up with rankings and everything. I like this system better.
I do too. It's like I mentioned yesterday. You're gonna find a flaw in any playoff system, so
there's gonna
it doesn't matter.
As we've seen with the NCAA basketball tournament, there's gonna be whoever's next number is always gonna have a case. We beat somebody.
They've got more quad one wins, but they've got a better strength of ranking.
Maybe we should go to a computer system. Maybe we could name it. I don't know, the BCS. There you go. Maybe the BCS bowls would improve. I don't know, but anytime you've got humans picking games, there's going to be there's going to be a bias, and there's going to be.
You can say obvious. There's an obvious bias.
Go SEC, right? But at the end of the day, who's running the tournament? ESPN, right? ESPN's all about money. They've got their business.
And coincidentally, who did the ESPN networks start broadcasting this year on Saturday nights?
Florida State. Oh, it was terrible to watch.
The SEC.
Yeah, shocking.
Their first year broadcasting the SEC under their new partnership happens to be the first year of the 12-team playoff.
Just so happens. Everything's a coincidence, a coinky-dink, if you will. It'll end up being one big. I think it'll end up being like the NFL, where you got pods, and each of those pods plays similar teams, and the winner of that pod moves on, and then you got playoff scenarios. But it's getting watered down a little bit. Here's something crazy. Oregon obviously looks the best right now. But let's say, how many losses does Alabama have? 3?
3. Let's
say they sneak in. You could have a 3-loss national champion. How crazy is that to say? Obviously in basketball.
If Clemson wins, you have a 3-loss conference champion that gets a 4 seed,
a home seed,
and a first-round bye in a home game.
Yeah.
And you've got a team like Notre Dame who's 11-1. Mind you, they do have the worst loss.
Forget them. Travis Mervin, forget Notre Dame.
They have the worst loss in college football, but at the same time, they have 1 loss.
No.
And they could be a 5 or 6.
No, forget them.
And don't get the first-round bye.
Play in a conference.
That is one thing I will say. They will never get a bye now.
If you want to complain about it, play in a dang conference.
Maybe they should call that the Notre Dame rule as a big middle. I'm sorry, I don't think we can say that on a...
Yeah, we can't say that. We can't. It's family friendly. Thanks for joining in, folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but don't come at me with that Nebraska or that...
Ben Murphy almost called straight right there.
Oh, my goodness. Nebraska's definitely not making the...
No.
They're with Florida State at home. Yeah, but... Don't come at me with that Notre Dame. They should be higher. Play in a conference. You'll get your bye that you're supposed to get. We're all going to see SEC teams get put in over other teams. We're all going to be ticked off. It is what it is.
Welcome to college football.
I've made peace with it for the most part. Not at all. College football. We've already started a new year. Forget this year.
That's true.
Forget it. It's over.
That is true.
It's gone.
It is weird to think that it's technically the start of a new year for some teams. Like, you hop on Twitter right now and you refresh your feed, you're already seeing hires, teams, and, well, not teams, of course.
We're hiring people.
Players are entering the transfer
focused
portal.
On the portal and
no big names yet.
Signing day.
No big portal names yet.
Caden Salter is a big portal name to me. If he wants to come to Tally.
Quarterback from Liberty. Yes, I did see him. Him and...
He may follow his coach,
the quarterback from USC, Miller Moss. Didn't think he was that good, but...
He's got 2 last names.
Yeah, he does. But, of course, I didn't think Kyle McCord was good last year. But he led Syracuse to a 9-3 record and knocked Miami, hopefully, out of the playoffs.
I would be remiss to say...
And I think he led the NCAA in passing yards this year. How about that?
Check his numbers versus the numbers of Cam Ward, who everybody... projects to be a Heisman Trophy finalist. I'm just saying, don't listen to me. Do your research.
Last question, since you mentioned the award, who wins in your opinion?
Man, listen. I saw the other day that Colorado is pitching both Shador and Hunter.
Is that legal for them to send things?
People do it all the time.
Okay.
If you think back to Oregon in the olden days, they had Joey Heisman, Joey Harrington's billboard in Times Square. So there's been people shout out Joey Heisman. That's been forever ago.
20 years now.
Yeah. They've been doing stuff like that forever. To me, the legitimacy of both of their candidacies says the team should have went undefeated. They didn't even make their conference championship game.
They lost.
Much less the playoffs.
They lost to Kansas.
So if you're going to say 2 people, now Travis Hunter, you could say I'm sour grapes. He didn't go to Florida State. I am kind of sour grapes. And Sanders, he should have went to Florida State. Somebody didn't recruit him. I think it was Walt Bell. But anyway, he's gone. He's back to North Green, I think. But you can't say both of them are Heisman winners and your team sucks. With that being said, I think Travis Hunter will probably win it. I think, however, the Boise guy,
Ashton Jeanty,
I think he should win it.
I think everybody that I've talked to so far, of course, I myself believe that Ashton Jeanty could win because as impressive as a player that Travis Hunter is, I don't quite know if I would vote for him over Ginty because, yes, of course, he's doing some generational things on both sides of the ball. But Ashton Ginty is also doing a generational thing that will end up being the all-time single-season rushing record in college football. Because you think he's got a championship game this Friday. Even if they lose and he doesn't make the playoff, they've still got another guaranteed bowl game. So that's 2 games, and I don't know how many yards away he is. But if he's got a chance to break the record, I for sure think he would play. But you could end up breaking Barry Sanders' single-season rushing record, and your trophy case will be without a Heisman.
Yeah, that's wild.
You will win virtually every other award, but you won't win the Heisman.
That's pretty crazy. I think Travis Hunter is a generational talent. He definitely makes splash plays. But with that being said, I think it's the Boise guy. Your team's got to win. I mean, it's got to be some point that your team has to win games.
I agree. Then again, Jaden Daniels at LSU did win it last year, and they were like 8-4, 9-3.
Speaking of Jaden Daniels, who stopped them last year? Who played the best against him defensively? Florida State
opening game.
Yes. Florida State. So hopefully, I say all that to say. Hopefully, Florida State's back. College football is better when Florida State brand is good. Let's just say that. Throw it out there. You may disagree, and that's okay. I don't want to make any Tennessee fans mad. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But anyway, Florida State back in 2025.
I'm all about making Tennessee fans mad because I personally don't like them either. I don't. Not the fans. I just don't like Tennessee.
I think they're the original UT, though.
The original?
Yeah.
Who's the real UT?
That would be them if they're the original.
You think so?
Right? You and James and all them do the OG. I mean, if you're the OG, you're the one, right?
You've got a point, but sometimes
don't try to defend it.
The one who comes after might do things better.
I helped you out, Tennessee fans. He can say what he wants to say. It's the real Orange. It's the real UT. They have to go find their own. You know.
See,
we help them.
I want to go down. I want to go down to Atlanta this week and watch Texas in the SEC championship game. But for some reason, none of my Tennessee friends want to go with me. I guess it's just because their team couldn't do good enough and make it there. But
you can't spell citrus without UT.
That's all right.
That old adage.
That's all right.
But
hey, UT fans, look up. You're going to get to host a college football playoff game in year 1, so there you go.
It'll be awesome.
We'll talk nicely about it.
It'll be rocking on Rocky Top. I hope they go dark.
Have you seen the projections of who they will play, though?
No.
Ohio State.
Ooh, that's
in Knoxville.
Winnable game.
Knoxville.
If you plant a flag, their coach won't do anything. Anyway.
Mike Norvell will, though.
Oh, yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Coach, that's all I've got for you this week.
Appreciate it, man.
Hope y'all watch this. This is the most entertaining portion that we've probably ever done.
There we go.
When you get our opinions on college football, you can promise yourself we'll get fired up, especially when it comes to Florida State, Texas. But that's all we've got this week. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Terry's Flooring Coach Donahue Show. Look forward to seeing you next time here on Grassroots Media.
Go Black Knights.